Hey guys, it's me again. While I was sitting here after doing yesterday's devotion, I was reading tomorrow's devotion, and tomorrow is now today. And I just want to read this passage to you because it so aligns itself with what we were dealing with yesterday. It's about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's had the Last Supper, he's gone and he's made the declaration to Peter that you will surely fail me. And Peter said, I'll never fail you, but he did. And then we see Jesus taking himself into a realm of knowing disappointment. He knew that this was going to happen. Then it says this, verse 32, they went to a place called Gethsemane. And Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death, he said to them. Just stay here and keep watch. Going a little farther, he fell to the ground and he prayed that if possible the hour might pass from him. Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Simon, he said to people, are you asleep? Could you not keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray, so that you will not enter into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. Once more he went away and prayed the same thing. When he came back, he again found them sleeping, because their eyes were heavy. They did not know what to say to him. Returning the third time, he said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Isn't it intriguing that Jesus knew what was about to happen? I find it amazing, as amidst the disappointment that he was experiencing with the failure of his disciples, but amidst that disappointment, he did not lose his determination to fulfill what he knew God had called him to. In his anxiety and in his unbelievable pain and the soul of his soul, he cries out to God, is there maybe not another way? Could there not maybe be a plan B? But then he cries out and he says, Father, not my will, but your will be done. He knew what the will of God was. Now remember, Jesus did not come just to be a good teacher or to be a healer or just to be a good guy or to point the way. He came to make a sacrifice. He knew that the ultimate sacrifice of himself was the will of God. The ultimate sacrifice of himself was the purpose for which he came to this planet. Now, amidst all that pain and that anxiety, there's the disciples. But you want to hear men snore, and I feel sorry for some of you wives that have to live with us. But there the disciples were all snoring away, and at the time when Jesus needed them the most, they weren't there for him. At the time when he was most anxious and down in his spirit and his soul and perplexed in his nature and the situation around him, there his disciples were fast asleep. I don't know. If I were him, I would be deeply disappointed, wouldn't you? I'd be deeply disappointed and maybe disillusioned to the point of saying, listen, you guys, if you can't stay awake for me just for this little time, I don't even want to hang out with you. But he did. He gave them another chance. He woke them up. Sure, he was still disappointed. They had made a promise that they would watch and they would pray, but they did not fulfill their promise. And Jesus was deeply hurt, I'm sure. But out of that situation, we get a picture of the wonder of the nature of God. His determination to fulfill his purpose. His determination is to walk with man, no matter how failure-orientated, how failure-ridden we might be. And no matter how many times we make promises that we don't fulfill, he still commits himself to walk that journey with us. Now, I know this is similar to what we spoke about yesterday, but doesn't it illustrate the same truth? The proneness of us to say one thing and do another. The proneness of us in deep emotion sometimes to make statements that we don't fulfill and make promises that we don't fulfill either. You know, it's a crazy, crazy thing, and yet Jesus never gives up on us. Never gives up on us. In fact, he loved his disciples and he gave them an opportunity to get out of there. He went up to the soldiers that had come to capture him, and he said, you don't want these guys, you want me. And all those disciples ran away from him. They didn't just disappoint him, they deserted him. And he was all alone with just one or two following from a great distance. Can you imagine the depth of his dismay and his disappointment and his disillusionment at that time? And if it was me, I would have said, well, that's it, the plan's over. If you can't work with me for this little bit, then I'm not going to go to the cross for you. I'm just going to do it my way. I'll just go back to heaven again. And that's how humanly speaking, I would think. But his determination to fulfill the purpose and the will of his Father drove him past his disappointment, past his dismay, to do the will of his Father. Man, I've got to grasp this thing, people. Got to grasp the wonder of his commitment to you, his desire for his plan to be fulfilled in your life and mine. We are prone to failure. It's not a good excuse, but it's the truth. Let's be more conscious of who we say we are, and let's be more conscious of his presence and the hugeness that is at stake right now. Don't be asleep when Jesus needs you, because that would be just doing what they did. Have a great day, people. See you tomorrow.